noticed ECDC, what is that? Economic
What does it stand for?
Development?
Espanola Development.
Oh.
Espanola Community Development Commission. ACDC, ECDC, I was thinking ACDC.
Espanola Community Development.
Espanola Community Development Commission.
Oh.
Hello, Chloe.
Hi,
How are you?
good, how are you?
Hope you can get a quorum. I thought, we'll make decisions.
Yeah.
I'm gonna start recording just to make sure everything is functioning properly.
Recording in progress.
You can just, why don't you go ahead and sit there, let's change yours.
Where's mine?
Here, yours is over here, let's change it. It's Justin's running, he's at work.
For some reason, I already got used to sitting here
Yeah, we'll just choose our seats. Jay was joining on Zoom. I thought Denise was too, but Justin's at work, so we've got either Toby comes. Toby?
Do we need these?
It's up to you. I think they have enough airflow. You're not requiring masks anymore, no?
No.
I think there's a lot of airflow here. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 out of what? 7?
I don't see anybody online yet. That
I don't know if that's a quorum, I forget. I don't think it is.
I don't know if we've been. I'm Floyd, by the way.
I'm Robert.
Nice to meet you, Robert.
I work as the GIS here.
Planning?
Yeah, planning cartographer and mapper. Data. I'm trying to help out.
Thank you.
There's
I know, it's been tough. I tell you.
Yeah, that
It's been tremendous things.
really threw a wrench into things too. Yeah, I picked up one of these things.
Oh, okay, forgot to pick mine up and then I was just made copies of,
Yeah, I didn't know if there was another one, but
they give us some, so that's good.
yeah. But it's interesting. There's a lot of good stuff there.
Yeah, a lot of it's just, I think this is our last kind of organizing
There's a lot of
meeting, like kind of like see what we're gonna move forward and then I think we
Yeah.
start the work now, so.
Toby Vito. Do we know that? Oh,
Sorry?
this, okay, Toby V.
Toby. Muhammad was Asfal, not AZ.
Is Lou?
She'll be in late.
She's in Albuquerque, she told me she was on her way.
Oh, she's.
We may start late, but I think she's gonna, oh, is Toby?
Yeah.
Oh, hi, Toby. Or you don't put the voices on yet.
Looks like his microphone's on.
So Toby will be on virtually?
Can we start? We're gonna wait.
No, but Toby will be on virtually?
He'll be on virtual. I don't think we're gonna have a quorum.
So we need,
We need 4, don't we, like 7?
yeah. Looks like-
Oh, do excused count as quorum? They don't, no. Excused people don't.
Oh, I don't know.
I should have looked at my notes.
Yeah, I'm
I
not
was thinking,
sure.
well, we're in the school, but we should remember all these rules.
Yeah.
I don't always remember them.
So are they ex officio members or
They're actually members.
they are members?
Yeah, you mean the city council people?
Yeah,
Yes. Yeah,
so they,
mayor has assigned them. I don't really think they consider themselves, because Justin just told me I'm gonna be late. and I said, "Fine."
Yeah.
Hello, how are you?
so the internet said you'd be here, I think.
If you wanna sit there, let's change your, Toby, where'd you
No.
get me? Keep right next to
Okay.
Francisco's, we'll just give you your, if you wanna sit there, we can give you your, do you wanna sit there, we'll just give,
Okay.
because give me,
Here,
it's
I'll-
right next to you, right next to you.
This one?
No, that's JR's.
It's easy to live from here when there's a disagreement.
Well, now we're gonna have a four.
Close to the exit, yeah.
Thank you.
All right, Mr. Chuleta.
Pretty good, how are you, sir?
All right.
Good. So,
There's
Justin, well, this is Justin's.
Yeah, just put Justin's room. They're both gonna be on, JR I think is gonna join us.
by no. What that
Who's the
was?
second one?
RGS, no?
Oh, that's the Rio Grande son.
Oh,
You
Oh,
can, you
that
can,
was my real grandson.
can't get away from that.
So we've got 3.
So it's 6, so I think I'm gonna wait one more minute and.
So how's everything? Besides not being able the trash to be collected.
I don't know, I think it's getting better, the city's looking at issues.
They picked us up today.
The audio and emergency council meeting was bad, so I couldn't make what they were talking about.
I went to the emergency one last Thursday.
So, yeah, and
They were gonna meet today, tomorrow or today, with the,
No comment?
with the North Central Board, the JPA board.
yeah, because and the 15 they meet.
Yeah, so they were gonna decide, and they had options last night, but I didn't stay through the whole meeting. They had options last night about what they could do in-house if they needed to go in-house, but there's no decision yet.
Yeah, I was on virtually on this meeting that they had the other day.
So
But it was hard to come to,
it's 6:01, so I think I'm gonna start the meeting.
yeah, we can call.
I'm not sure we have a quorum. I could wait 3 more minutes, but
Unless somebody's up there, maybe.
no, there's, the only ones that will make the quorum is Toby.
And it's Toby there?
You can mute Nicholas, yeah, RGS is mute. Toby's there. I was told that Benavides would be
I
there.
think if we get it might.
Well, they're not showing they don't have their video on. They don't have their video on yet, so it's just us. So, I think I have.
Hi, this is Nicholas. I'm with the Rio Grande Sun.
Yes, we're just
Make
debating
sure,
whether,
okay.
how are you? We're just debating whether to wait another minute because we want to see if we're going to have a quorum. There's a few excused people.
I wanted to make sure you knew that I wasn't good
Oh,
part of your quorum.
We see you. Yeah, we can only count one person, Toby, right now. We have 4 out of 7. Let me check. I can start.
How are you?
Good, how are you guys?
Good.
Good to see you guys.
Welcome.
Thank you.
She's on the road, so. Do you want to sign in if you're a visitor?
Sure.
You can use this. I don't have an extra pen, but
Okay.
it's nice to see somebody's interested.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm gonna start the meeting. I have a question. I think 4 makes a quorum. But if we're not gonna be taking action on anything till later, so Lou will be here and then she can respond, and if we can't vote, well, then we just have to wait till the next meeting. Okay, so I now call this meeting to order. This is the Espanola Community Development Commission meeting. Today is September 14th. We were to start at 6 p.m. I want to call the meeting to order. Would you all join me for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Since Lou is on her way from Albuquerque, she advised me just to go ahead and call roll. So I'm going to call roll, and I guess we'll just mark this present. So Commissioner Toby V. Hill, unmute and
Present.
thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner J.R. Trujillo,
He's not on
Commissioner Justin Salazar Torres, he's excused. He told me he was at working. Okay, Commissioner Francisco Simbana,
Present.
Commissioner Denise Benavides, she's not here. So we have 4, and I'm present, of course, Joe, the chair.
You didn't call my name.
Oh, sorry, Commissioner
yeah.
Floyd, it's hard when you don't have, you're not looking at people. Commissioner Floyd,
But I'm present.
present. Okay, so we have 4 commissioners. I'm going to consider, since there's only 7 of us, that we do have a quorum, but as Lou comes in, and if she says no, that's not enough to take action, well then, we have the action items further down in the agenda, and we'll decide then if we're going to be able to vote or we have to wait. So having said that, before I ask for approval of agenda, I would like to ask for a moment of silence. As you all know, we lost our planner here, and very tragically. So I'm going to ask for a moment of silence for Mohammed Asfal Hussein. Thank you. As you know, his life was cut short, and it's very tragic, but I do want to honor him tonight. I also want to thank, before we move on with the agenda, I want to thank the planning department for picking up all the slack that we've had to do. I want to thank Lou, she's not here yet, but she's had to wear 2 hats. She's doing planning and zoning, and she's doing this commission also.
Good.
We want to welcome Mayor Hill.
Hi, everyone.
Hey, Mayor.
So we're going to move on with our agenda. We just did roll call. I asked for a moment of silence for Muhammad, and I'm thanking Lou and the planning department for all the hard work. So having said that, we have 4 present, Mr. Mayor, we have 4 present commissioners out of 7, Mr. Mayor.
Sorry, I'm just taking a picture of the agenda.
Okay.
Forgive
We
me,
have
Commissioners.
4 members out of 7, so I'm assuming that we do have a quorum, we can continue with business with 4 members. Mr. Mayor, I'm
Let's
asking
make
if
a-
that.
Oh, forgive me, yes, you should, you
Yeah,
have 1.
4, yeah.
If you have 8 members and you have 4, yes.
Oh, we have 8, okay, we have a
Oh,
quorum.
wait,
No,
how
we have
many
7
members do you
members.
have? Oh, you have 7?
and we have 4.
Okay, then you have.
Yeah, we have a quorum, okay. So having said that, we can vote. I'm going to ask for approval of the agenda. Do I have a motion for the approval of the agenda?
I so moved.
Do I have a second?
Chair.
Thank you. A motion was made by, you're recording, right?
Audio and vision.
Okay, so I don't want to have to take notes for the minutes. Okay, so a motion was made by Commissioner Archuleta to approve the minutes. Do I have a second?
I second.
And second by Commissioner Sembonga. So, all in favor? Aye?
Aye.
Any oppositions? Motion carries. Okay, so what I kind of consider this meeting to be about today is I wanted to offer some information. At the first meeting when we did election of the chair, I mentioned that I thought we probably would be wise to look at kind of a strategic plan kind of thing for this commission. But having reviewed a lot of documents over what I believe we're charged to do for the community development as asked by the governing body and by Mayor Hill, is I said we don't need to reinvent the wheel. And so what I did was I asked Lou to pull some key areas of where some of these planning documents were on the website with the city. And so I put those in just as an FYI for you to, and I hope you've had a chance to look at them. They were emailed on Friday, a chance to look at them. And so I'm just going to briefly go through, we're not going to go through a long length of reading on this, but we do have the key planning areas, Exhibit A, and that's where you start with the values. And I thought it was important for us to, if we were going to even be looking at a strategic plan, which I don't think we need to do, I think we need to have an action plan based on that. I just wanted to make sure people knew that there was work in the past around these areas of planning for Main Street and for the community several years ago. This is taken from 2017, so it's not 5 years old. It's not too long ago. I'm not going to state that. I don't believe that all the areas that were put in the plan are necessarily what maybe the mayor or the governing body may consider as priority, but I think it's important to put that out there to see if we can at least start with our action plan to move ahead with some of these areas for development. So we have the values listed there, and I think the planning principles are very well stated. We have, to be connected to everything that is going on with the community. But the things I wanted you to look at were where they rated. It's on page 20 of this short document, so the third page, where it says the lens. So I wanted you to see that on a scale from 1 to 5, and this group works with the contractor. They rated public safety as high and protection of the natural environment and quality of public education. And then the following page just kind of talks about neighborhood distress, lack of professional jobs, unsightly roadways, and they kind of gave a percentage with probably 56% saying that maybe we should make a major course correction based on some of the ideas and some of the things that came forward from this. So the next page from this document is page 22, and it talks about priorities and how we should accomplish the goals. So I just thought it'd be important to kind of see that this has been worked on. So this is what I'm going to say about Exhibit A. I did include the map that just talks about beyond boundaries. It doesn't really show, how things are zoned, which I think we're going to have to probably maybe have a joint planning workshop with planning and zoning and some other groups. But it talks a little bit about where they saw some of the major areas for traffic flow and how things really haven't changed too much since way back then. So then the next document is the Plaza de Espanola, and of course this is a little bit more lengthy. I'm not going to go into detail, but it did talk about how they envisioned some of the plaza to look like. And again, I know things have changed over the course of the years, and if you go back to the plan that was listed on the website, it did have an area where it really had a map of how they saw businesses developed. And you can go back to that and look at it, but again, we have to see what the governing board and what the mayor think are the most important things to do. So I just wanted to make sure that people realize there were some things around the plaza development and the master plan. and how the buildings would then kind of be set forth and how those priorities were made. So if you haven't looked through this very much, please do so, even after this meeting, because it's gonna move us towards that action item. So the next document was the goals for downtown Espanola. And I liked this, just the 5 that are listed, because it talks about enhancing the economic vitality of downtown, preserving the historic, architectural, and cultural traditions, create a vibrant and diverse setting for residents. It's talking about housing and what's going to happen, gathering places in the plaza of the community. Provide ease of access for traveling with private vehicles, public transportation, bicycle and foot, and redevelop the blighted areas. So I think as we look at our mission, in a sense, even though we haven't really created a mission statement for this commission, that we kind of look at this to see that some of this work can be maybe focused in those areas. So again, this is just for your perusal to look at. It wasn't to have a long discussion about it tonight, but just to open up some dialogue, and as we begin to look at maybe subcommittees where you all will take charge of your area of interest, that you know that this information is out there. So we had A, B, and B1. Now, item B, if I can continue, unless there's any questions from the commission, I'll continue with my update. We're on, for those listening, we're on item 5, the ECDC chair update, and I'm going to B. So development of the action plan by commissioners is just what I'm kind of proposing, and of course you all have to decide, is that we would have, based on some of these areas, and it's going to be a little bit more further delineated on behalf. After this agenda, you'll see Exhibit C. So Lou and I tried to come up with some areas where we thought the interest would be, and if there's some subcommittee work that people might want to chair that or be the lead person in that committee around some of these areas, the way we grouped them. If you don't like the way it's being grouped, we can maybe look at something else. So it should be, again, on your agenda, it's right behind, and those were the groupings that we came up with. So that's what I would like to have the commissioners consider. Again, I believe this is really kind of still a organizing, this is kind of our last organizing meeting in a sense to get moving forward, because we did miss last month and we don't want to delay too much.
I'm reading these documents, it's really, somebody put a lot of effort in coming up with the survey, and it's pretty good. I mean, number one, the community saying you worry about the public safety and protection of natural environment and quality public education. And then immediately it goes with a neighborhood distress, lack of professional jobs, and unsafe roadways. My initial thought was, it's easy to overstep our mission and try to do something that it belongs actually to the city councilors.
Exactly.
And having said that, I mean, I don't see that it's well-defined description for us, and not try to overstep the limits. For instance, let me say about public safety. In my neighborhood, there's been like 3 break-ins in the last week, and it's and obviously neighborhood in distress. I can tell you is about the trash. I mean, the trash is overflowing everywhere. And I live in a really nice neighborhood in that Vista del Rio, close to the high school. Immediately comes to my mind and is, I got an email, or I got something from the North
Central,
saying that they simply stop collecting. You take the trash to Alcalde or to someplace else. And my first thought is, how dare you come to tell me that? And then it comes with the same thing and says, oh, by the way, Mrs. Salcido got increased the salary to $89,000.
I know, I understand.
And it's just like, For what?
But if I may, Commissioner, I'd like to continue my update, but I want you to hold those thoughts because we're gonna go into discussion.
Mhm.
And when we get into those areas, I think that's where a lot of what you're feeling based on these documents, that we need to have that discussion at that point so that we can decide how we're gonna break up the, kind of the work. And again, I have shared these, I shared the information with, of course, with Lou, we work on this whole thing together, and with the mayor, so to make sure that, you know, he's aware that I said I'm gonna pull out these documents so that we can kind of have a starting place, because otherwise we don't know where we're gonna pull from. So if we can just hold on to your thoughts, just while I just talk about item C, and then we'll go into the action items. I don't know if in item 6, if we have those people attending. Lou told me she had invited them. We had review of the Open Meetings Act, disclosure, conflict of interest, and rules for subcommittees, but I'm not sure, I don't see them present, so we may just skip over to, it'll be a short meeting, but we'll get some stuff done. So if I may I continue then with the retail coach, Commissioner? And then we'll get back to your thoughts on how maybe you can decide where you wanna put your efforts around some of these areas. And also these, on Exhibit C, they could even change. I mean, maybe they're not even lumped together the right way or put together the right way, maybe you have some ideas. This is just all for discussion. So I wanted to just say, again, going back to B, that we wanna look at an action plan, and yes, we don't want, I agree with you 100%, we don't wanna overstep. We're not an elected body, we are going to work with giving our recommendations to the council and to the mayor, and so we need to, have some guidance and give, work our areas of where we have our interest and concern and move things forward to help them and have them, either agree with some planning that we may come up with or some ideas and ways to get involved with those things to make them happen. So having said that, I'm going to talk a little bit about the retail coach, and this is something that the mayor asked me to join a quick meeting one day. And I understand the retail coach is a organization, a private entity that does work with across the country, maybe along the Southwest, and they help communities. I don't have any attachments on the retail coach because I never received anything back from the gentleman that did the Zoom meeting, but the mayor was able to offer a contract to this group with some of the film industry monies that came in, and they are going to work with the governing body and with us, I guess, if we have a chance to maybe visit with some of them. What they are doing is they do a plan and they do marketing analysis for the cities that they work with. And so in the conversation I had with this meeting, the gentleman, Mr. Farmer, mentioned that he did an analysis for the city. I'd like to get a copy of that so we can have it as an attachment for the next meeting. But he indicated the retail coach is looking at what businesses are likely to be successful and where is the priority and the demand for these businesses. So since I don't have anything to offer I can just tell you from what I remember on the meeting, is that they looked at restaurants, grocery stores, the types of businesses that seem to be more favorable here in the valley, and that's a lot of computer services, electrical services, electrician kind of services. They talked about retail and how they attract some of these major retail restaurants or fast food or other businesses by giving them studies and helping them understand where the population is going. Like, for example, if I remember correctly, for Walmart, there's a lot of visits to Walmart, but a lot of it is coming from, did you want to mention it?
Can I?
Yes, please, why don't you name?
Forgive me, members.
No, this is fine, this is very, still kind of planning meeting.
I
I recognize Mayor Beal.
I just want to appreciate all of you for your contributions and dedication to the city of Espanola. I want to apologize, we have Lou serving as interim planning director, and then she's being pulled community development, so she's in all aspects. But long story short, regarding the retail coach, for many years we've realized in our city we've had a stagnant budget. It's been roughly hovering around $12 million. You can't expect overnight $1 to turn into $10 to get better roads, to get more police officers, better quality of life amenities for our city. So the city has generously been receiving large significant revenue amounts from the film industry that's been renting our facilities throughout the city. So he had excess revenue this year. Our city manager has worked with him in the past. The Retail Coach is a professional consulting firm that works to identify retail trade areas for our community. And so long story short, they identified a retail trade area as far north of as to Cebolla, and as far north to Taos, and south to Los Alamos. A retail trade area of roughly 92,000 people are constantly shopping in this local vicinity. They come from as far little communities as Cañones, Coyote, things that we've always been talking about for years, but they're actually getting the hard data to evaluate and see where these people are coming from. Our Walmart just last year alone received over 2 million visits from within this retail trade area. Our retail trade area is extremely large. That's almost a little shy of 100,000. Extremely large for a community that has a population within the city limits of only 10,000 people. So the Retail Coach compiles all this data. They did this in the last month of research. We just brought them aboard about a month and a half ago. Now that they compile the data and they research all the data, they create a marketing report for us. Essentially then they're like a realtor for us. They start selling Espanola based on those economics and the demographics. Also something interesting, based on that retail trade area, we found that the average household income for that area was, I think, a little under $80,000 a year for household income. And because of that, it helps to be able to sell that to a potential developer, to sell that to a potential retailer about why they should come into Espanola. Once they enact their marketing plan for the city, obtaining all that, then they start identifying key retailers that match us. They're going to only bring us businesses that match. Unfortunately, we can't say we're going to bring Dillard's here to Espanola because we just don't have that retail trade area. We might not have the same demographics that they require, but they have these key contacts with businesses like Marshall's, like Ross, like Burlington Coat Factory. They sell this information to them and not actually selling it to them. They showcase this information to them, bringing them the information back. Then the city of Espanola, which is our contacts would be Lou Baker and Mr. Jordan Yatsi, their contact is then to follow through with this potential recruiter about coming to Espanola. So then it puts us in the queue. We start talking to them, then we start doing our part to sell our community to them. We start showcasing available plots of land that we have throughout the city, and talking about development opportunities for access to utilities, infrastructure, and doing our part to make sure that we get them here in Espanola. So the Retail Coach works on analyzing the data, breaking down the data, marketing the data, bringing the retailer here. They pretty much bring them to our front door, and then it's our responsibility to get them into play, much like it cuts when you guys worked and brought Walmart here 20 years ago, it cuts down that whole aspect. We will probably get maybe I think they have actually a video. The thing is they charge us for every additional meeting we have, so we do have to kind of work on that. But I wanted you to be present to share with them.
Yes.
And that was your first meeting, but we've been meeting with them now the last 2 months, and so I think it would be helpful. We can see if they have like a webinar, we can talk about that at an upcoming meeting. But we're really excited about this Retail Coach. They analyze our strengths and our weaknesses in the valley, and something that we can't do. They have a staff that can get stuff done that would typically take a staff here 3 years to do when bringing the store. Anyone have any other questions about that Retail Coach? And it's a significant investment. The city spent $35,000 for this recruitment coach. Municipalities across the nation utilize this company, and they have a 90% return on investment for their communities. I think they said 80% of their clients that do work with them the first year renew the contract because they just see the production that comes back from them. And so we're really excited about that. This week, I was hoping today to share with you all, we were supposed to get some targeted businesses that they feel match our demographics, but unfortunately I didn't get that today.
Mr. Mayor, if I may, first of all, are there any questions before I ask my question?
Yeah, this is Toby. I got a few questions. I like the idea of the retail coach and identifying businesses that would fit Espanola. I'm trying to match that up against the handout that I'm looking at with the Espanola Historic Downtown Economic Development Plan, for parks, museums, libraries. How does that fit together? Is the expectation that we get more retailers in and they generate more business, and then that business, the tax receipts from those businesses can be used to fund these efforts? How does that work? And the overlying question that I keep coming back to is funding strategy. I just not seen one other than we will promote Espanola, and by promoting Espanola, we'll get revenues, and then a lot of these other things will happen. How does that fit together? Please excuse my naivete. I'm not a civics guy. I'm more of a business guy, and I tend to look at dollars first as opposed to second or third.
Commissioner Behill, that's a great question. Municipalities are primarily funded, just a quick civic lesson for everyone. Counties are funded through property tax. Municipalities are we get a percentage, very small percentage of property tax, but primarily the city of Espanola and all municipalities across the state receive their funding through gross receipts tax. Gross receipts tax is everywhere you shop at the store. In terms for hard products, food is not taxed in the state of New Mexico since 2006. Because of that aspect, we have a lot of retail loss in our community. You have people that go to Santa Fe and such. We're always constantly pushing shop local, shop local. Shopping local goes into so many aspects because that's our primary revenue generator for police, for parks, for roads, quality of life amenities. That's why it's so important for municipalities across the state that they invest into economic development so that you can increase your GRT. So going back to that discussion, Commissioner Behill, it's so important that we bring retail businesses here that sell hard products that are taxable, like clothing, like shoes, toiletries. Those are all taxable items. Those increase our revenue source and bring us up. Ever since 2006, when they repealed the grocery tax, it's pretty much killed a lot of municipalities across the state of New Mexico. Food taxes are regressive. The municipal league has come back with the smaller municipalities that only had grocery stores in the aspect, and like Espanola, we have a lot of people that shop in Santa Fe because we don't have hard product stores here in Espanola to be able to generate the revenue that we need to fund our city. Commissioner Archuleta, when you were here as a counselor, the budget here was $18 million. I mean, we're now hovering at $12 million just from the loss from the food tax. So it's hard for us to continue to promote and provide quality services for the constituency without investing in bringing retail into the community. So this recruiter, and that was a big thing for me, Commissioner Behill. I did a lot of research before even bringing it to the council. I wanted to make sure that they have results. They have results of bringing actual stores. And they don't just market Espanola is a great place. They work on actually bringing stores to our doorstep and
Right.
getting them into play. And so the city of Espanola is working on making Espanola more business friendly in terms of reviewing our code regulations regarding setbacks, such, and it may require amending code to place businesses in certain areas where property is available. Also regarding that is also access to utilities, always for any large size retailer. Traffic flow as well. There's just so many aspects, but the first piece of the puzzle is bringing the retailer here and then getting them going so that we can increase our revenue sources, so that we can provide quality parks, streets, and community facilities. I kind of hope that handles some of your question. It's kind of putting the cart before the horse, but unfortunately, that's how we are set in municipalities across the state of New Mexico.
So I'm going to push a little back on you, Mayor, and my apologies, but I really want to try to understand this a lot better. And let me be kind of straight up and a little blunt, and my apologies once again. So, for example, we brought another Walmart into town. Could the tax revenues from that build us a library or
Yes,
a lowrider museum?
yes.
Okay. Okay, now that's what I was hoping for that answer. A little nervous about asking the question to be asked. To be honest with you, let me go a little further. You're staring at a behemoth just down the road from us to the south west, Los Alamos National Laboratory. They are they got a lot of money that they are willing to spend on the community. Um, this is probably a later update for you and my fellow commissioners, but been making a little bit of progress on working to find a partner to collaborate with us, working with the lab. But as I think, as Floyd will tell you, there's a lot of money there, a lot of money in Los Alamos, and they're they're bursting at the seams, and they need to spend it across the community, and they want to. So I would not discount Lannel at all in these calculations. In fact, I could probably make a decent case that some Lannel spending could top anything that this retail coach could bring in.
Yes. If I may,
I want to interject though, Commissioner Behill, that is not a reoccurring line item, unfortunately, though, and that's one of the things that we can talk about all day about getting money coming in right now. And the problem is retail businesses, if they're here and they're consistently here in Espanola, it's a consistent stream of revenue sources for our community so that we can continue to grow the budget. We would have loved to have an entity like Los Alamos National Labs dump money in here, but I'm sure they're not going to dump money for the next 30 years into our community to make those investments. Another thing is Commissioner Vigil, Lano doesn't contribute gross receipts tax whatsoever to the region. They are a nonprofit entity, so they don't contribute gross receipts tax whatsoever to the city.
I disagree. I disagree. They contribute gross receipts tax to the state, but maybe not I'm not sure about the city, but I know they contribute gross receipts tax to the state. There is, and Atlanta can be up and down. I totally agree with you there, but there right now is poised for quite the revenue stream. If a business or an organization would reach out and tap into the needs of Atlanta.
Commissioner Vigil, if you look at Exhibit C, that's where I did put down the landlord partnerships to be one of the areas that we can begin to look at.
Okay.
So your particular interest could, really be recognized there and generated through your work on trying to get some landlord partnerships that aren't necessarily defined in the kind of regular way that we're seeing business happening right now. So I did put that in as some of the areas that I thought some of the expertise in this commission would want to consider heading up or being part of a subcommittee. So
thank you.
Is that all right if we?
No, perfect. Thank you.
Okay, I do want to recognize Commissioner Archuleta. If you're, is that, thank you, Commissioner Vigil. I'm going to recognize Commissioner Archuleta.
Just real quick, Madam Chair, Mayor, I'm in full support of the retail coach effort. I think it's a great opportunity for us. They have the right contacts, and it can certainly help us as we start moving ahead with our roles and what we're wanting to do. So I think it's a great idea. You mentioned Walmart. And, I happen to be part of the city council when we took it upon ourselves to recruit Walmart to come into Espanola because, we see everybody in Santa Fe shopping at Walmart, and the opportunities weren't here. So we did go after Walmart, but it was something that we had to do ourselves. And if we had something like this in place, it would have been a lot easier for us. But, because you have the ma and pa businesses that you have to take into consideration. We ended up going to court, but we had to over all of that. But we just have to do it. And the first year we ended up with almost $1 million in GRT, so for the city. So, and it's been benefiting us all along since then. But we have, the availability of land that we have to identify as well, and just so many things that play into this whole effort. But I think it's a great move, and thank you for doing that. Thank you.
Yes, I recognize, thank you, Commissioner
Thank you,
Archuleta,
Commissioner.
Commissioner Shabambo.
You know, it's exactly, I recognize the grocery taxes that the blood of the small municipalities, and I recognize exactly, Mr. Archuleta, what you said. There's people, then they should be shopping here in Walmart and they're shopping in Santa Fe. There's some differences in there. I'm not gonna name the store, for instance, but I'm gonna give an example why people shop not here, but in Santa Fe. I wanted to buy cheesecake. And I said, I want to buy the whole thing. And she said, no, I only can sell you by pieces. I said, okay, how many pieces in the whole cheesecake? He says, 10. Charge me for 10. He said, let me call my manager. So that's exactly, and maybe it's just that the education or training, it has to be done at the level of the direct customer provider. And Walmart is, you go to Walmart in Santa Fe and you have the hand sanitizing in there. You go over here, there's not. And many times then I have gone over there and there's no cards available. And you talk to the manager and said, I see cards everywhere in the parking lot. Why don't you hire somebody to do that? And they said, well, we're trying to do that. I think we should come up with an idea to have a business owner get together or some sort of meeting, some sort in the city that says, every single time that we do not treat the customer the right way, they're going to go away. You're not getting the profit, but most important, the city is not getting the share to be able to do infrastructure projects. That's the key. I mean, and I think other ways there is some stores, the retailers, then they do understand that. For instance, I was shopping for insurance. The insurance place over here was much better, was much accommodating than the other ones in Albuquerque or in Santa Fe. And it's easy for you to choose to say, well, no, I'm gonna do locally because I can stop by there and do things if I have to do it. Nowadays, everything is internet. Then, and there is some of those retailers do understand that. And maybe they just train the employees in different ways and, take care of your customer. Because that represents you and that's your salary in there. Just that as a comment, but I think it's exactly following Mr. Archuleta's comment about Walmart people white shopping and so on. It's sad, but.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you, Commissioner. I do have a question, Mr. Mayor. So, yes, I was invited to that meeting. How do you envision any member here in this, I'm chair right now, but if we have other people interested in some of these areas, being able to be part of that dialogue? What are you expecting from this commission in terms of the retail coach?
My preference is that we have at least one person, preferably the chair. They do meet during the day because it's just normal business hours. It's a typical one hour meeting. They've been meeting with us, I say every other week. kinda wouldn't want the whole commission to meet with
But
them.
no, I wasn't thinking that.
But at least one designee, Counselor Benavides has attended some two as a counselor and as a representative, as a liaison to this committee. I would prefer the chair.
Okay, well, I just wanted to make sure
I'd prefer the chair. This is all brand new. This is trailblazing because we've never had this retail coach. And there's a potentiality actually for other entities to get on board to utilize this retail coach. We've talked to the Pueblo of Poaquia, they're interested in working with them too. A lot of communities actually use their economic development corporations. They're the ones that fund it. But we feel in the city of Espanola that we should handle it right now. The fee will actually come down after the first year. We're hoping to get some other partners, maybe Okewinga, maybe River County, Santa Clara Pueblo, they'd be interested in utilizing the retail coach as well. But right now, the city of Espanola completely contracts with the retail coach solely. And so we are their sole contracted employee for this region.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, I have the time, I will, I just need
And
to.
then we also have your staff liaison, Lou Baker,
Yeah,
is
she was at
also
the
at
meeting.
every single one of those meetings. And so typically, it's nice that she goes as a staff liaison. No matter what, there always will be a staff liaison attending that meeting.
Thank you. Do you have anything else to add to anything we've discussed thus far on that update?
Not on the retail coach update, I think I had some comments about the plaza area that we've been talking about, I don't know if.
I think since we don't have people here for item six, I'm gonna give the pleasure of the board, of the chair, and just go ahead and continue with
Okay,
your
you
comments.
wanna continue or?
Get with whatever you have
Okay.
to say.
I understand discussion about, I've looked over, I've talked with Lou, I've talked with our city manager. One of the issues we have here on the west side is not just specifically lack of businesses because there hasn't been any drive here. We've made it very difficult to open a business on this side of town. We have extreme regulation in terms of what can and can't occur here on the west side of Espanola. We have a lot of the west side zoned as residence office institution, and unfortunately, we don't have a lot of office growth in this area. Institution is limited to museums, libraries, and then single family homes, which primarily the whole west side is. So I've been working on this actually for a while. It's still in preliminary stages, but I do want to share with you. For many people that are local of Espanola, from the La Loma Hill, which is as you come up the hill where the sign is, everything down is considered the historic area of Espanola. So I've been talking, I've been in conceptual about a Paseo de Oñate Heritage District. It's kind of taking some things from a commercial district zoning as well as the residence office institution. And so I'm thinking about situations where we'd allow art galleries, bakeries, bar, lounge or taverns, bookstores, bed and breakfasts, financial institutions, some eating establishments like we have Lottaburger down here, museums operated by nonprofits, office buildings and offices for professional services, pharmacies with a total square footage of no more than 3,000 square feet, laundromats with a total square feet of no more than 3,000 square feet, clubs and lodges in mixed-use buildings. One of the interesting things about this one is we're going to tie it with the Plaza de Espanola Historic District, which kind of removes setback requirements and makes it more attainable to utilize a lot of the smaller lots that we have here on the west side to kind of try and build infill. For older communities such as Espanola, building infill is one of the key ways how you develop your community because we don't have a lot of large access parcels, and so we have to cut back on setback requirements that limit what you can and can't do, requirements for off-street parking. And so I'm hoping to get some sort of finalized plan regarding this to work in this corridor that will culminate with the Main Street District, but that one's a little more different because it's a historic district, so we limit what businesses do go in the actual Main Street area. But I'm talking about as you come down the hill, also trying to create some construction standards for that corridor as well. And that's like kind of trying to create an architectural atmosphere and presence kind of looking for the Southwest Territorial Victorian style that it's called the mercantile architectural element for our community with the train. When the train left, when the train came to our valley in 1882, it combined and created this Victorian style element along with the adobe, which created the territorial, which we all know. But Espanola has, and there's some parts here in downtown Espanola where you can see it, where it's a very unique site of architectural style. So that's what we're kind of trying to think of for this corridor, to try and relax regulation, at least from the hill down, to try and attract businesses to this corridor. Also always allowing single family homes, site-built single family dwellings is my belief and mindset. And so it's just very preliminary. I've been working on this last 2 weeks, and so I'll stand for any questions about that. And just preliminary, calling it the Paseo de Oñate Heritage District, kind of just creating that small community feel, mindset. Art galleries are important, and trying to tie it into the Plaza de Espanola, so you have some new growth mixed with the older growth.
Can I recognize Commissioner Achille?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Mayor, I think that's great. I think your line of thinking is really goes well with the one question that I have is that we have a major thoroughfare going right through our plaza practically, and so we're going to have to include the pueblos and the state highway department, and maybe redesign some way to allow us to do everything that you're talking about.
Commissioner, that's a great question. We met with Secretary of Transportation Ricky Serna, who is a native of Espanola, and he lives in the city limits. We're very fortunate about that now. We did talk about, which has been talked about for the last 30 years, the realignment of Los Alamos Avenue to Railroad Avenue and fixing this intersection. It's been a nightmare in front of the plaza for decades. The whole, make things brief, the state has planned for many years to realign Railroad Avenue and Los Alamos Avenue so it's a straight shot, would come across the Hunter Ford parking lot. And then it would be a straight shot there, and then the road would turn as it does Paseo de Oñate. You'd be able to take a direct right without having to go through the light. So I'm really trying to push the state to try and do that. We've also seen in cities, and I've had a conversation with Congresswoman Ledger, is in smaller communities that have lively downtowns, they've created a nice streetscape, and they've consolidated how the road, I hate to say it better, for lack of better words, bottlenecks, because it creates a deceleration of speed corridor. And so yes, there's so many traffic issues with the corridor itself, because it's a major thoroughfare, 84 to 85. It's a major access point for all the farmers up in Alamosa, Hall's Freight. So that's bringing the DOT on board, and we're trying to create that small streetscape kind of atmosphere. And so we're looking at some federal grants that would be able to allow us the opportunity to, what's the word? They call it disconnected communities, because when roadways and massive amounts of transportation disconnect neighborhoods, it creates this more industrial feel rather than the small town feel what we're looking for. And so that's an opportunity, maybe even just down from the hill here, where we consolidate the road and make it. I mean, there's so many scenarios of what we could do to just minimize the traffic flow.
Thank
Because
you,
a major bypass would be something to look at as well, but there's always problems with that,
Exactly.
those bypasses as well.
Yeah. It affects the community economically.
Okay, bypasses. Commissioner, thank you.
Thank you.
Mayor, is any talks with the college? Because the college has a tremendous impact in Paseo de Oñate. One individual called me out of the blue. I don't know how he got my name, and says that his dad has large piece of land in this area. And he was asking me about how to develop that. I said, number one, you gotta go to the city, and the city has all the regulations of what you need to. And he said, I'm from Espanola, but I am in Seattle, And my dad passed away, and I've been talking to the mayor, I have talked to the city councilors, and he was fishing for information, and I said, well, next time, you give me your name, your email, and then I'll send you the link so you can, participate or hear the meetings, and you can ask questions directly. But I said, this one is mostly for the city councilor. Because, see, it's hard for me, that's what I said, where is our limits? I mean, what can we do now? But, the Chamber of Commerce, another thing, I mean, we should be having, this is as a citizens, just going to Chamber of Commerce and trying to talk to the business owners and trying to incentivize, some changes in there. I think is that the college doesn't have that much impact because they don't have no dorms. If they will have dormitories for the students, there would be more students, obviously, and that's a major thing that this college has. So at the city level, I mean, there should be more tax, I believe.
And so Commissioner Simona, thank you. I meet with the president of the college once a month. We've talked about this. She's trying to work on streetscape from Paseo Doñate towards the college. She feels it's very disconnected. It's lacking that community, close knit kind of atmosphere. So she's working on getting some legislative capital outlay to do that. I briefly mentioned this to her as well regarding creating this kind of corridor where we have coffee shops. We want students to be able to walk Railroad Avenue, to be able to enjoy themselves in our Main Street corridor. And so I'm hopeful that we can continue to talk with them. Ultimately, it comes down to is making this side of town attainable for businesses to want to come here. And so I think relaxing some of the regulations we have. I know exactly who you met with. We met with him, actually me and Lou met with him. We're excited for him. He's been proposed already to the retail coach for a primary tract of land because he actually does have the largest tract of land in the west side of the city. So we've already been in contact with him. We had a meeting with him, 2 weeks ago?
Excuse me, sir.
I recognize that Lou Baker has joined us. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the commission. Thank you. Mr. Rodriguez, yes, about 2 weeks.
Yeah,
maybe
we
2.5
met him
weeks
just
ago.
2 weeks ago. The retail coach, we're gonna send them their way already to the college.
And Mayor, and I think it's probably, he has a good thoughts about doing commercial in the first floors and then doing apartments above the second floor, which I think is probably the best thing to do for this area. Because college, once you put dorms in the college, I mean, those college kids will spend money. I mean, it's just their nature of spending money. And that's why one of my things, I disagreements with the college when Dr. Bailey was in here, it was more open communication. Then why those kids are not going full time? I mean, for me, it's like my 12 years old goes to middle school full time. My son, who is engineering degree here, goes part time. Why? So the college is like is dead, but it's not. So
Partnerships, I guess.
So this is Toby, if I could jump in.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Can I respond real quick to Commissioner
Yeah, let him
Simona?
respond to Commissioner Sambana before.
So one of the things that the retail coach does is they don't just bring businesses, they also look at developers. I think we have here in Espanola a lot of individuals that have property but may not have the capital to develop their property. So that's another aspect that the retail coach does work on doing, is they bring a developer who can develop the property. A lot of these individuals, I mean, I can dream all day, I wish my house was $1 million on a piece of property, but if I don't have the capital to do that project, it's never gonna come to reality. So the retail coach comes into the aspect because they're able to bring a developer who then develops it, and then they bring in the retailer later. So that's also an issue that does affect a lot of property owners on this side of town. And so I hoping by the end of the year, we can have a nice meeting, a stakeholder meeting with every single property owner that owns property fronting Paseo Oñate and discuss what's your ultimate plan. A lot of them may choose to just not do anything. I mean, we have to be frank that private property, when someone owns a piece of private property, they can do whatever they like with it. And then there's some individuals that I think would prefer to develop their property on their own, but they don't have the capital to do that. And so that's where we're hoping to have a stakeholder meeting to see ultimately what the direction is of the property owners, because I hate to be, and one of the things, and I had an issue with this in the comprehensive plan, every single comprehensive plan that we have done at the city in the last 20 years has not involved a single person who owns property in the Main Street corridor. I can wish and dream every day, unless I own the property, I can't do anything with it. And so it's nice to dream the comprehensive plan, what they want to do at downtown, but until you get the actual people who own that property on board, it'll never come to fruition.
Mr. Mayor, that's exactly right when you said I have the land but not the capital to develop. There is some programs, it's called low income tax housing credit, the LIGHT program. It's complicated, but if those projects are dedicated for low income, students from college are considered low income. Especially, we're talking about the students who comes to this town, they're not gonna be rich. So they could really easily qualify for those things. And the LIGHT program is done to investors, private investors. But the owner of the home, of the land has to understand that that is a marriage of 15 years at the beginning. That's with a taxation revenue. And then there's an additional 10% with the state, with MFA. But it's possible to do that. They might not have the knowledge, but it's possible. So I think that's one of the reasons, and I joined this committee because I don't want it to just to work in those things. Just to dedicate to that. Because that's the things that I know. And this one, page 22, the grant for 15,000 from MFA to be able to do the study for housing needs in the city, that's doable, really easy. I don't know if the city has a grants department and they do that kind of thing. So, I could sit down and try to help with that.
Okay, that's great.
You'll have a subcommittee.
Great. That's what we need.
That's
We
the
need
idea.
citizen volunteers that are willing to assist us and assist our staff. And each of you have external experience to bring to the table, and that's why I believe boards and commissions are so great, because they serve as an advisory role because they have outside experience and knowledge to bring to the table.
Mayor.
Thank you. What do you recognize?
Well, I think Commissioner Vigil was.
Commissioner Vihil's next. Commissioner Vigil, you're on. I recognize you, but I want to ask you, is there ability to raise your hand where we can see if you want to speak?
I can do that going forward. My apologies for not attending in person. I get a bit of a cold, and I did not want to be contagious to everyone else. So I will look to raise my hand next time. Thank you.
This floor.
Couple of comments. I do know from speaking to President Rick Bailey a couple of years ago, he really wanted to put dorms in. He saw the potential. I will also note that El Rito has dorms that can be rehabilitated, and a proposal was made to Los Alamos with not much traction to try to reconfigure those dorms for summer students and retreats. Other thing I wanted to mention is the name of a gentleman was brought up, and he's talked to a few folks. I probably emailed him hundreds of times in the last 2 weeks, literally hundreds of times. and we probably had 3 or 4 telecons. He is very serious about bringing some business and developing his properties, all the way up to doing some demo work on one and converted it into an RV park. But he is very serious, and pretty much the entire push of our discussion has been focused on Los Alamos' businesses. We have been being mentored or advised by a company that is part of the Los Alamos management contract, a small company, and things are going quite well there. That's all I had. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. I think it really does speak of the action items that we'll take later today about those partnerships. I now recognize Commissioner
Just
Archuleta.
real quick, and it was just a thought that when you were talking, Mayor, I hope that, I realize that there's a lot of planning and a lot of details that are needed in what we're trying to accomplish. But I would hope that, and sooner better than later, and I don't mean to try to shoot from the hip, but I would hope that we could identify and prioritize some business or an endeavor that we could go after and really set our focus on that, And I guess I'm thinking of a supermarket or some grocery store for the west side here. And I really think that, the needs are great, there are many, but I would wish that we could prioritize one thing that we can go after and have some sort of an accomplishment. Because we don't want to be here and plan forever, we want to make sure that we can go and make things happen.
Totally agree.
So before I let you go, I'm gonna do, the retail coach has already discussed and ran preliminaries for a restaurant and a grocery store in this side of town. They feel that marketing this side of town is important. I think once we change some of our code requirements here on this side of town and make it a lot more amenable for them to come into this side of town, we can attract a grocery store. For a long time, I believed that an anchor tenant store is the key how to be a staple here on the west side of town. Because then you're giving individuals a reason to have to come to this side of town daily. We have a lot of people disconnected in this community that don't even come to this side of town if they're not going to the post office, to City Hall, or any of the government facilities. There's not really an anchor on this side of town. For me, my goal is, no matter in the city, is a nice clothing store. And the reason behind that is because it's grocery receipts tax. It's a taxable, hard product where we can increase our revenue sources for our community and prevent the retail leakage that we see going to Saturday. And so, overarching, there would be a grocery store on this side of town, and a retail store, preferably probably clothing, or some aspect where we can keep the grocery receipts tax here in our community and hopefully get another additional $400,000 to $500,000 a year just alone on a large big box retailer.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think I'm going to make a comment on what you said earlier about the infrastructure, because you and I have had conversations about this, and I understand there's lots of designs out there. I guess I envision, having lived here on the west side and raised on the west side, how it used to be, 100 years ago. But I really think that dealing with that infrastructure for how the streets are going to be, and I agree with Representative Ledger that I kind of like that idea of having it where you're going to attract people downtown as you're moving these other heritage, historic sites and businesses, and having an ability to really have kind of that downtown feel, but yet being allowed to have people have it safe, crossings across to go from what's developed in the Hunter Place across to the plaza, etc. So I just wanted to give you kudos on that, and I know there's lots of different ideas about how that infrastructure will look, but it is, I think, one of the most pressing things to do, have your infrastructure before you have all the other stuff for that section of the city. So having said that, thank you for being here. Are there any other questions for our mayor before he exits? Thank you for being
I wanted
here.
to say something before you leave, hopefully that you could just listen to me.
Okay, this is going to be a public comment, and so I'm gonna allow,
Yeah, please.
Just for the record, you need to state your name.
Okay. Hi guys, my name is Cruz Lopez. I'm a local artist here. My family's been here a very long time. Family of artists, and I live on the west side, right here. John Ramon knows where I live, and my family's been there a long time. My dad has a rock building there that he built. It's really cool. And the reason that I want to talk about this issue is because Espanola is right in between Santa Fe and Taos, and for so long there hasn't been any art galleries in this town of Espanola. I have an idea, and maybe you guys could, maybe it fits in with all this stuff that you guys are talking about. Okay, so you know that there's a building right there. It's Smith's. Used to be Smith's Video.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, Smith's Video, and it's right by my mural actually. I don't know if you guys know the mural that I painted there.
nice.
So this has been my idea, and it's I'm trying to write a business plan to make it work. I had talked to Mario a little bit about it, but I think he had some other ideas for what he wanted to do with his building. Well, I've talked to Mr. Smith. I'm not sure if you guys know who he is. He's the one that owns that building there, Smith's Video. Used to be. That building's right there, like in the middle of downtown, right there. Well, my idea would be to make it into an art gallery, right? And I'm not sure if you guys have ever been to the shows that we do, but me and my friends put together art shows, and we had done some at what's this one down here, the Delta, and we've done some in different parts of town, the Naka Center. But my idea for that building, because Mr. Smith he's already like 98 or something like that. He's really old, and he wants to sell the building, right? He said he wants more or less about 600,000 for it. So what I wanted to do is try to buy that building from him and turn it into an art gallery. And I know a bunch of artists around this town because we've done these art shows, and we've got 20, 30 artists at a time, and we put together these big art shows. And well, my idea is to have a community art gallery that would represent artists from this area, Native artists, Hispanic artists, just the variety of people that we have, and be able to represent all of them, and have it as a community art gallery show space where people could come. Like we would advertise it in the Santa Fe magazines and stuff like that, and get people to come here downtown. The murals are already there. That's kind of like an attraction, and then it's just to have like an art gallery right there would fit a lot of those needs that you're talking about. You know what I mean? Because it would help the gross receipts tax by selling the artwork. You could have a gift shop with clothes, and that say Espanola, and things that are about us. Like lowriders or. There's so many ideas that could go in there. I have a bunch of friends that take pictures of lowriders, or different things that have to do with the valley. Like the farming, George O'Keeffe, the landscape. But I think that would bring people downtown. It would help the community to be able to sell their artwork. They would get, artists would be able to make money there. And we'd be able to give back to the community, and that would, it could do a big mural in the front of the building to attract more people. You know what I mean?
Can I speak?
Yes, I was just telling you.
That's what
Yes, please, recognize the mayor and then.
Mr. Lopez, I am so excited to hear you talk about that initiative because I'm very passionate about our culture and history. And I got it actually from my godfather, who's a very good friend of your dad. And I've seen for so long, we have so many art festivals in Santa Fe, and almost all the art comes out of this valley. We don't have a venue and a location for our local artisans to showcase their artwork here. So I'm very excited to announce that, and for those that in the last month, the council has discussed infrastructure and roads are very important, water, sewer are very important in the city, but a quality of life project that we've been talking about and a consensus of the city council is in support of is a cultural event center. We're hoping to, the cultural event center is gonna be conference center and on one side, cultural center, and an art gallery space for individuals to showcase their artwork. Also, we're hoping to have put lowriders in there. People from the Pueblo peoples want to showcase their pottery. They can do that there as well. We can sell paintings, all that aspect. We don't have a centralized location here in the city to do that. We're hoping to do that with the plaza. There was the long time plan a long time ago about having a Spanish cultural center and a Native American cultural center, and realistically that's just not practical going ahead further. But having one unified cultural event center for our community that's there on the plaza, owned by the city of Espanola. I'm hoping then we can get support. The lowriders can be in there as well. So it's just a culture of northern New Mexico, the Espanola Valley. On this side, the conference center, which would hopefully we could fit about 300 to 400 people on the other side to showcase for events and such here in our community. We just came from the Municipal League conference 2 weeks ago. There's nowhere in this valley, because Municipal League refuses to utilize Native American casinos. Our community is not able to handle large functions. We utilize only the casinos, and we have to realize that a lot of entities don't want to use those sometimes for avoidance of drugs and alcohol and that in the casinos and tobacco. So we're hoping to create a venue here for our community to do that. And so now in the legislative session, we are requesting as part of our capital outlay request is a cultural event center. So I do encourage all of you that know your legislators to talk to them about the importance of this cultural event center. One of the things that we're doing is we talk a lot about doing projects and we hope for the 21 million or whatever amount money, but $21 million will take a long time to get through the capital outlay process and the grant. So we're hoping to design this facility in phases so that we can get one phase done, people see a tangible progress, then we add on additions to the building. So preliminary we're talking is if we're able to get funding through this upcoming legislative session, we build the cultural event center, we build the cultural center first. So we have that aspect, that's to be the first phase, and that's the access for art space and such. And then we're hoping to do it on the plaza, and then it's going to attract these private galleries growing along the area because they're all be coming to the main cultural center, but then they'll see all these privately owned galleries. I don't know if you've been to Las Vegas, on Bridge Street there in Las Vegas, have all these little mom and pop galleries up and down Bridge Street, and then as you go to the university at Burris Hall, they have the community community art center where people can showcase their art there, and it's all along the trail. And so that's what I'm hoping we can do with the plaza area is create a trail coming from Santa Fe all along Main Street, and then it culminates there at the plaza where you can learn about our history, learn about our arts in our community and such. And so I really applaud your comment, Mr. Lopez, tonight because we are moving in that direction for our city.
And that's where I envision it, you know what I mean, because we gotta take advantage of being right here in the middle of Santa Fe and House, and like you said, all the artists are from here. We might as well have a place. The reason I thought of that building there is because I could do workshops and stuff, and I do, I do exhibits, like that's my thing. I can hang shows, and switch them out, you know what I mean? But like hanging shows, switching them out, and then workshops, like say painting, like paint night, and sculpture classes and things like that.
And private industries that want to do an art gallery, we welcome those, but we want to create a nexus for everyone to just come from. They see all the private ones, but they see the nice public one here in the heart of our downtown corridor, attracting people to utilize the plaza and builds that commercial atmosphere. And we're creating a destination point here so people aren't driving from Santa Fe to Taos or Taos to Santa Fe. They're coming through Espanola and they're stopping here and leaving their dollars here.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you for your public comments. Mr. Lopez, I'd like to get your phone number if you want to come to see how much work somebody is here. And then we'll go with our agenda.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I'd just like to offer my and compliment you and thank you, Mr. Lopez, for coming to our meeting tonight and for your initiatives concerning the kind of work that you're involved with. And that's exactly the kind of thing that we need to get people to stop here between Taos and Santa Fe. So it's great, and please continue with it. And I for one would like to support your efforts as much as possible.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Commissioner. Any other comments for Mr. Lopez as we end public? Because we get public comment at public head, so that's fine.
Okay.
But I appreciate
If I could interject.
Commissioner Miguel.
Yes, thank you. I love the idea of something downtown. I got another idea to add to Mr. Lopez. Northern New Mexico College has got a few spots that would be perfect for a showcase spot. If he wants to contact me later, I can put him in touch with some folks that we could discuss it with. But Northern's just vacated their bookstore. And they went all online with it. And that bookstore is 2 windows, fully windowed walls right in the middle of the admin building that would be perfect to house that. There's probably 2 or 3 other options as well. You could start there and then move to downtown where it should go, in my opinion. But just a thought.
Great idea.
Yeah, great comment. Thank you, Commissioner. That makes total sense. Appreciate that. All right.
Yeah, if you could give Mr. Lopez my contact info, I'd be happy to follow up with him, or he follows up with me.
Yes, we'll do that. I've asked our director, Lou Baker, to give that information to. So thank you, Commissioner. So we are into our meeting. I'm going to go ahead and go to item 6. And Ms. Baker, wasn't sure if anybody was going to present. So is there something you want to offer? I had asked Ms. Baker to put these on the item just because as we started going into what I guess I'm envisioning as we get down to the agenda, those areas that you want to be involved in, that we want to make sure that we don't have any type of conflict of interest that may come up, and if there is conflict of interest, you would recuse yourself from the vote at that time. So I wanted her to talk a little bit about Open Meetings Act, the short term, and the conflict of interest disclosures, and anything that she might recommend rules for the subcommittees, because as you identify your areas on the Exhibit C, and those could be a little different, but as you define your areas or say this is what I like to have, be the lead on, then we want to make sure that we know how the subcommittees are going to operate. You have the floor, Ms. Baker.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the commission. Thank you for your time today. Commissioner Vigil, aye. Madam Chair, I apologize that Ms. Emma LaRue is not here tonight. I would like to ask if this could be placed on the agenda for the next meeting. She is the expert on the Open Meetings Act.
Okay.
I would not want to misinform you. I think if we give her about 20 minutes at the next meeting, she can do a presentation on the Open Meetings Act, just a very abbreviated version of it, because it can be kind of lengthy. And then what I can do is, and I'll work with her, and we can talk about the conflict of interest. I think a lot of that has to do with disclosure and recusing yourself. When you make when you have to take a vote, just honestly say, you know what, I know this individual and I need to recuse myself from voting. It's just all about transparency and integrity in your vote. So, Madam Chair, with that, I would like to ask if this could be discussed next.
Yeah, definitely. And I just want to offer something. I know the Planning and Zoning Committee got a really nice abbreviated Cause I know the Opens Meeting that book when I was on the
Yeah.
school board, and it was a big document.
Oh, yes.
But the planning and zoning committee, my husband's on that
Okay.
committee, or commission, he brought home a really nice condensed, I'll share it with you next week, abbreviated information about voting, and it wasn't so much Open Meetings Act per se, like some of the disclosures, but it was about how we do the voting. And so I'll offer that to you, and it can be, we're going to have a little bit of a condensed version of things, because we're not elected officials, but we do need to have some guidance on how we operate. So having said that, thank you for updating us on that. I'm gonna go ahead and mark that we've done that.
Madam Chair, I think what's also very important is that if the commission needs to vote on an item, that there is no ex parte. So you cannot communicate with someone that has an item on the agenda off the record or in private. You just need to say, I can't discuss about this because I'm a quasi-judiciary body, and it's not in your best interest for me to discuss that with you. You know, so, but those things I will definitely, and I apologize for that, I will definitely make sure that the city, if not the city clerk, the deputy clerk, Madam Clerk, Debbie Garcia, she's in training, and I'd be more than happy to invite her, but I am of the opinion that Ms. Emma LaRue would have more of a stronger background to discuss this, okay?
And Ms. Baker, I just wanted to commend you for all your work. You weren't here at the opening of the meeting, but I wanted to move forward, survey 603.
Thank you.
And I did thank you and your staff for all your, all your double up on working.
Thank you.
And did ask for loan assignments for
Mohammed. Yes, we miss him very much,
Yes.
and it's difficult because I worked with him hand in hand every day, and he had some really very close relationships in the community, and so I get people that reach out and want to talk about him and say, well, we miss Mohammed, this is the idea he brought to the table, and so it's, he definitely left an impression on the community, and I need to thank you for doing that and on his behalf. We have I met with Mayor Vigil and myself and Mr. Yatsi and Chief Garcia, met with Mr. Ross Brown, he's the VP of Facilities for Lauterburger. Mm-hmm. And there was some discussion by Lauterburger to actually close the facility, relocate it maybe to Pewaukee, because Pewaukee's been recruiting them to open up a store in Pewaukee. And all of us at the table said, please don't leave, we need you in the community, we need you on the west side, we'll do whatever we can to help you stay here. And it's unfortunate that he lost a team member. We expressed our sympathies and extended our condolences to him. But in that same discussion, we stated that we recently had lost Mohammed and that we were not going to bulldoze City Hall. And we would not like for him to bulldoze the store. And so I'm going to work with him very closely. They're going to reconfigure the parking lot. And he's looking at opening the store in 60 to 90 days. And what they're gonna do is reconfigure the parking lot. We might do a curb cut on Bond Street. And what they're gonna do is have a drive-up window. Good. So that as soon as the sun goes down or at 6 o'clock or something, the lobby's closed, yes, and you just purchase your item at the drive-up window. So, and there'll be a lot of safety measures, security measures put in place. One of the things that Mayor Vigil brought to the table was, since you're so close to the historic district, would you consider implementing design standards for the historic district? And Mr. Brown was right on board. So I will be sharing the color palette, different designs, so they can do a facade in the front to maybe look like the convento next across the street. Because initially they were just going to paint it white, and we didn't really want a big white building there in the downtown area. So I thought that was really nice that Lauterburger was willing to work with us in that, and that we will work with them also. So I'm glad that we were able to with Chief Garcia and Mayor Vigil and Mr. Yatsi definitely taking the lead on that and keeping Lauterburger in town. And my sympathy and my condolences to Mr. Cyrus's family also, that for their loss. So thank you very much, ma'am.
Thank you for mentioning that. Okay, so having gone through item 6, let's go ahead and move on to item 7, action items. And on A, we do need to have a vice chair to share
In
some of the
the event
roles in case I can't be here. Or,
Yes, in the event you
know,
can't be.
something else happens. And so I just mentioned to Lou, we need to have that determine this meeting. So I'm gonna go ahead and open up the floor for any nominations. First, second for vice chair. I'm sorry, I think he's second vice chair was something else I do.
Is
For-
Mr. Trio on? No.
No, Mr. Trio is not on.
Okay.
Toby is on, so we have Toby, Mr. Sabana, and Floyd, and myself. So
Yeah.
do I have any nominations for vice chair? Yes, Mr. Sabana.
I nominate Mr. Archuleta. He has a lot of experience. He's been in many different positions, so I think he's well suited.
Thank you. We have a nomination for Mr. Commissioner Floyd Archuleta. I don't know if I need to have a second on that.
Yes.
I'll second. I'll
Okay,
second.
so Mr. Seconded by Mr. Toby V. Hill. So any other nominations? Having none, I go ahead and call the roll for a vote. Would you go ahead and call the roll?
I certainly will. Also, Madam Chair, he can be selected by acclamation.
Yeah, well, let's do acclamation then. All
You
in
want-
favor? Yeah, I mean, if that's what you like to do.
Do you want me to call the roll? or do you
Yeah,
want-
call roll because there's 4 of us and I think it's
Okay,
good.
Madam Chair, Mr. Francisco Simbana, are you in favor of the motion?
Are you in favor of the motion?
Are you, okay. Commissioner Toby V. Hill,
Yes, yes.
Commissioner Joanne Salazar,
Yes.
just be patient with me, I'm writing all this down for the record, okay? Commissioner Archuleta,
Yes.
Commissioner J.R. Trujillo, let the record show he's not present. Commissioner Denise Benavides,
No.
let the record show Commissioner Benavides is not present. Commissioner Justin Salazar Torres.
He was excused. He told me he was not going to be able to be here. He's not present though.
Okay, so let the record show Commissioner Justin Salazar Torres is not present. Madam Chair, the motion carries. Congratulations, Commissioner Archuleta, you are the Vice Chair. The work starts.
Thank you. I'm gonna do this.
Madam Chair does a lot of work, so now you're gonna have to, her and I spend a lot of time together, so.
Worked with the chair before, and
We have worked well
we were
together.
school board together.
We
Okay,
did some good work together.
Yeah.
excellent.
We got all those audits cut up so they could have all these schools and
But
I always thank him.
Excellent.
But thank you for your confidence,
Thank
and I definitely am interested and will be totally committed to the vice chair of the commission. I have the time, I'm retired, I do have a business consulting business and but I have plenty of time to dedicate to this.
It takes
Thank
a
you.
lot of time. And I know that Madam Chair has really stepped up to the plate and spent many hours not only with me, but studying at home and doing research and looking at historical documents and stuff like that, master plans. So she has spent a lot of time doing her homework. Same thing with the Planning and Zoning Chair, Mr. J.R. Trujillo. They both of them have taken their roles very seriously. All of you have,
Yeah.
but the two leadership positions. So I look forward to working with you, Mr. Archuleta, and we'll get a lot done together as a team.
Thank you.
And all the commissioners here.
All the commissioners,
Which
yes.
brings me to.
Commissioner Vigil is always involved. He's very well engaged.
Yeah, he did have his hand.
I'm sorry, I can't see the hand, but Commissioner Beal, are you still with us? Do you want to have a comment? I recognize you.
No comment. Welcome on board, Floyd. You're in charge when Joanne's not here.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Commissioner.
Okay, well, I'm gonna move on to item B, which is really kind of the crux of today's meeting, I think, too, outside of the election for the vice chair, is I wanted to ask the commissioners to think about how you're gonna determine, how we would determine the action plan. So if you would go ahead and flip your agenda over, we have Exhibit C. These are the areas, I kind of went back to, I actually looked at some of Los Alamos' plans. And I thought a lot of these things, like in number 1, and John, the mayor mentioned this, quality of life, and I started thinking, well, what is quality of life in our area for, as maybe one area that we might want to have a subcommittee that would just be addressing housing, public safety, education, access to healthcare, parks and recreation, all that means, that's the quality. I live in Espanola and my quality of life is enhanced because I feel safe. I live in a nice neighborhood, or safe in the neighborhood. Education is good. We have access to healthcare, and there's parks and recreation, so I can go enjoy my outside, my outdoors. So that was one area. I'll just go over them real quick, and then we can have discussion with how the group, it's a pleasure of the group to continue. The downtown revitalization, I just threw in the plaza infrastructure, which are the roadways and signals, because as I had mentioned to Mayor Vigil and also to Lou, I see like what he mentioned earlier today, that structure, how we're gonna have the traffic flow in and foot traffic and welcoming people into this area. We need to look at that whole crazy Y that has been there for decades. It's not safe, which is really gonna help move the plans for the cultural center, the galleries, anything on the plaza.
Yeah.
So I thought that would be an important piece, and I did remind him we really need to have, some strong grant writers coming in because of all the federal money. I also threw in there the business, civic, and cultural centers, so that's kind of one lumped together. The business recruitment, retention, or workforce development, that committee would work with the retail coach. Well, he wants me to be in those meetings, but we would also hook up with the retail coach information, the grocery store, clothing and furniture, kind of all the nice things that you have extra things you have in your community. And then the public and private partnerships is what I know that we need to look at for, like maybe having a business incubator, local economic development through the LEDA Act, which is an attachment that you had looked at. And it was, if I understand, Ms. Baker, I understand when I read this, the LEDA Act, it comes from the state, and of course the city adopted it. But is that primarily this particular piece of document describing how, if someone wants to work to become a business person with city funds? I mean, that's what I kind of read through the document this evening again.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Madam Chair.
So that's something for maybe you to become familiar with.
It's a tool in the toolbox in regards to economic development. It allows for a private-public partnership so that the city doesn't violate the Anti-Donation Act. At one of the workshops that I attended today in Albuquerque, that was the workshop, and it was talking about that act and how we at the local level need to go to city council with a revised version because there has been some changes at the state level.
Okay.
So that's something that I will be working on. But absolutely, we'll definitely work together, Mr. Lopez, on something like this, okay?
So I wanted to make sure that people had access on the commission to that.
Yeah.
And business incubators have been something that you hear that word for years, but I kind of threw it in there because I saw recently Santa Fe still has some very strong business incubator that seemed to be working well. And I thought, let's throw that in there if that's something the commissioners want to look at, if they want to be on some committee under the private-public partnerships. The landlord partnerships, Commissioner Vigil, because I know that I want to thank Commissioner Vigil too. I didn't put it into our attachments today, but when we were talking about strategic planning, he did go to the plan, the community development plan, and kind of create his own document. And I really think it has some good stuff in it, but I did very good information on how his thoughts were put together on the land. But I wanted to make sure we all were together on values and mission and those basic things before we started creating our own documents. But as this group moves forward, if they want to do subcommittees, I would see this kind of like an action plan for each area of the categories here: quality of life, downtown, revitalization, business recruitment, and the public-private partnership. That's kind of what I'm envisioning, but this is your commission, and you guys tell me, you decide how you want to see some of these if these documents need to be even created. And then the regional city planning, city-county partnership is part of that partnership, number 4. So I just wanted to throw those categories out there to see if there's any kind of special interest that people might just want to self-assign themselves to these subcommittees. I'm calling them subcommittees. I don't know what we'll call them in the future, but right now it's kind of like asking you as commissioners. We have a collective meeting here, but there's so much to do that, and you kind of asked Commissioner Simbana about what is our role, what is our mission, and I'm saying, well, we're not the elected officials or the governing body, but we're here to give them input and offer suggestions, and even unitedly or collectively rather with other individuals in the community that might want to offer some ideas to that committee. So having said that, I guess that's as clear as I can make it. Sometimes I don't always explain in detail. But are there any areas here that maybe, do these areas make sense, just for discussion?
Let me ask you, Madam Chair, how do you anticipate structuring the committees?
Well, that's why we wanted to have the subcommittee meeting, the subcommittee report earlier before this item. But personally, I feel that if somebody wants to take the lead, and then there's also, let's say you wanted to take the lead in one of the areas, and then I say, well, I also have interest, but I'll be like, I'll just be a member with your committee. Then these committee people can meet. We have to see how the subcommittees legally can meet, though. That's why we wanted to have that workshop or that discussion, and it didn't happen tonight, but we'll have to have that. And then I see, hopefully if the structures allow, that you can have meetings with, you can invite people from the business community or different groups and say, I'm the subcommittee and we're looking at housing, and we kind of want ideas, but I don't want to duplicate what the city governing body is doing, so we have to kind of work collectively with them too. But we certainly want to know because I think they're moving on some things fast, and I did tell John, well, you need to tell us what you want, because I'm feeling like what we were going to kind of do, you're doing it, but we want to catch up with you, and we want to make sure that we're adding other items for you to think about. So I hope I answered your question. I think that is, being able to have autonomy to be able to do that type of work, because we can't do it all just in a monthly meeting. We have to really kind of be out there. So what are your thoughts?
So, Madam Chair, honorable members of the commission, I think these are a real good starting point. One of the things that I would suggest is with Mr. Floyd, Commissioner Floyd Archuleta's background in workforce development, he would be an excellent choice for number 3. One of the things, he brings decades of experience in regards to workforce development. And one of the things that I hear over and over again is when we're talking with a recruiter and bringing business to town, it's 3 things: the lack of a skilled workforce, the lack of broadband, and the lack of infrastructure, buildings that are ready to occupy, do tenant improvements on them and move right in. So those are 3 things that are real hiccups in moving forward in regards to business recruitment and retention. In regards to number 4B, we have a business incubator in town right now, and I don't think a lot of people look at it as a business incubator, but Pastor Mike Narano has the rock, and he took this building footprint of a motel, and he took the rooms, the motel rooms, and started a little incubator so that it would be a place for small businesses to have a storefront. He has an insurance place, he has a barber shop, he has vacancies. And so it's one of the things that we could do is work with Pastor Mike and see what he needs to do to really go to the next level so that we can encourage full occupancy of this incubator that's sitting right in the middle of town.
If I may, but I'm thinking of business incubator, it's more of that design where there's a group of people that will help. Is he going to help build businesses? But it helps build businesses in any area of the community. So I think we should include him, yes. But I'm thinking more of maybe I can get more information down the road, because I didn't add anything on the exhibits.
Well, one of the things that we could do, Madam Chair, is as soon as the police department relocates from the industrial park to the Forest Service building, I know that Mary Hill envisions, because the intent of that building where the police department is housed right now is for an incubator to work with the lab, bring in warehouse space, bring in light lab. And so relocating the police department, perhaps relocating the courts. I don't know if I'm speaking out of class here. I just wanted to let you know that building will eventually be available. I need to applaud the city for working with Amazon and having Amazon up at the Armory. That has really been a strong economic tool. A lot of people work there. And there's a lot of activity up there in that the Amazon warehouse. So I understand what you're talking about, business incubator.
And then the landlord partnerships, I think that
Yeah,
Commissioner Behill has expressed so much interest in. I know he's already making strides in connections with people, so I thought that number 4 could be a very good kind of like
Yeah.
extension.
If I could jump in.
Yes.
So business incubator needs to have a focus. So I think what they have at Rock Christian with the old Chimisa Inn hotel, I think that's nice, but it's a focused incubator on barbershop, tattoo, insurance. It's small business that serves the community, whereas the building on Industrial Park Road, it's more of a bigger business that can serve the area, including Los Alamos. So I would be cautious to just label business incubator and call it done, because business incubator can be a lot of different things.
Exactly.
How it depends how you focus it.
Yeah. Yes.
A business incubator, Madam
Yes.
Chair.
If I can recognize Commissioner Archuleta for a minute, Commissioner Behill.
Sure.
Okay.
And my experience with business incubators has been, it's really just that, an incubator, startup businesses, providing a space for a business that wants to grow, and providing whatever resources we have available to us to make that business able to be successful and grow, and then move on to something else.
You know, if I may, Commissioner Archuleta and Commissioner Behill and Ms. Baker, these headers, really, whoever wants, if they feel these make sense in the way they're distributed, that group, that team, that subcommittee can really define what they think the business incubator should be.
Absolutely.
I mean, I'm just throwing it in there, not saying it's done, or I kind of envision what Commissioner Behill is saying too. I saw that, like I was looking at Santa Fe, and then I think Los Alamos may have had one.
Yep.
That's kind of a buzzword like 10, 15 years ago. I know that was, I heard a lot, but it might have value even in today's day. So I just threw that in there. I do want to mention something though with quality of life. I didn't mention this, but I'm going to mention it. I had a chance to visit with our Attorney General, Hector Valderas, a few months ago, and he approached me. I've known him for years, and he remembered me as in another category position. And he told me that he wants, and I've already given this information to Commissioner Councilor Benavides. He approached me and said, I have funds from the opioid lawsuits, and I want to be able to put some money in Espanola. He's talking about quite a bit. But when I followed up with him, he said, I'm not sure if this money has to go back to, because it was for coming out of the opioid lawsuits, it might have to go back to treatment. But what he's going to do, and I thought I was going to hear from him today, but it doesn't surprise me that I did not. He's going to send me a date. He wants to have a town hall meeting. I'm putting it in quality of life, because whoever wants to take on that with the housing and the healthcare and other public safety, that's an important piece for us to have membership there. He wants to have an open town hall meeting. He's going to give me some dates that I will then send to the mayor and to the councilors and to this commission. And he will also want to talk to people that actually are hands-on in those kind of jobs. And I want to see how he wants to set it up. He might want to have 2 meetings, he may want to have 1. But we're talking about maybe 22 million over 10 years, and I think cities and small communities get a certain percentage, like maybe 50, I think it was like 50% is over 10 years. But you have so many millions coming into you. So that's gonna be an important piece of our quality of life, if he's willing to come and put money into this community. So as soon as, I just wanted to mention that because that's something that is gonna be big. And I hope he will. He's right now in the middle of another lawsuit that he mentioned, and it's been in the paper. But I hope to hear back from him so he can give me a date. I told him I'd like for him to do something maybe by October. So we'll find a place, but I wanted to add that that's gonna be an important piece for people to get engaged in with this money that we hope to get.
Oh, that's great,
The
thank you
quality
for
of
that
life.
connection, thank you.
Okay, so having said that, Ms. Baker and commissioners, if you may indulge me for a minute, I'm looking at those 4 categories. Do you want to let's see, what's the agenda item? Determine where you want to, we can say we've gone over the committee areas, so let's go to C. And is there a preference for any one of you to maybe be the lead, I'll call it the lead, in these committees, and you can just self-identify. And just because someone's a lead doesn't mean another commissioner may want to, have the subcommittee want to join them.
Madam Chair, I would be interested in chairing the committee for number 3, the business recruiting committee. And then from there we can grow into workforce development and everything else that's associated with that.
Okay.
And of course that I would welcome any other commissioner that would like to be part of the committee. But I would like to chair that committee.
Okay, well,
If that's the
yes.
appropriate.
Yeah, that's the way, I just want people to self-identify. I mean, you need to have the interest and the, want to do it. So I'll go to you, Commissioner. Is there any area here that you think you might want to hit up?
The quality of life, housing, access to healthcare, parks and recreation, it goes hand to hand. But I think public safety and education should be placed under private and public partnerships. Number 1, the school, the education, it's a public, it should be under public partnership. Same thing with safety, because you're dealing with the police. But housing, if you leave housing, access to healthcare, parks and recreation, I should be able to, I volunteer myself to lead that.
Okay. And you'd rather public safety and education just kind of go somewhere else in this area? Okay, that's fine.
Because I don't think safety and education goes in there. It should be in the private and public partnership.
If you feel that, I respect that. I just thought, quality of life and you put a place to live, that's part of it. But I'm happy to put it somewhere else, and if you want to concentrate on those areas, that's fine. That works for me. So I'll put you down for quality of life with those areas that you mentioned. Okay. All right. Commissioner Hill.
I don't have the list in front of me. My apologies, but my phone.
Okay, it was number 1 was quality of life. Number 2 was downtown revitalization. Number 3 was business recruitment, retention, and workforce development. And in the downtown revitalization, I had the plaza infrastructure, which are the roadway signals, business, civic, cultural centers. Number 4 was private-public partnerships. I had the local economic development VITA Act, the business incubator, the landlord partnerships, and the regional city-county partnerships.
Okay, landlord partnerships, definitely want to be on that one at a minimum and in charge of that if I can.
Yes, absolutely.
I'm definitely interested in downtown development. I'd love to partner up with Floyd on business recruitment. I think he's onto something there. But that's where I'm at, is really Lannel is the one for me. I believe strongly in the possibilities presented by Lannel, definitely in the next year or 2.
Thank you, Commissioner. If I may add, what I'd like to do then, I have already been working on the infrastructure for the downtown. Can I put you down as a member and you take the lead on Lannel partnerships? And
yes, I'd be happy to help you there.
Okay.
And I'd like very much Toby to assist you as a member of your committee on Lano.
Thank you.
Okay.
You,
Any
you
other?
saved me asking you, Floyd.
Huh?
You saved me asking you.
And I may.
I was going to ask you, so thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Vihel. I just told us, Commissioner Simban, I might be a secondary member somehow with the quality of life, but, you know, this is also, once we know about subcommittees and legally,
And then when you have the
and
other
then we have the
commissions.
others and they can add their interest or they can say, you know, we have the leads, so now they just have to join.
Right.
So, then we can see if subcommittees allow for you to have your own community meeting or Zoom meeting with people that might want to partner. Like, for example, next Tuesday, I'll encourage you on housing, it was sent out by the city, I believe, or, no, Department of Transportation. They're going to want input on Zoom about, the whole development that's happening with the McCurdy property. So, you know, that's something that I recommend you, I'm gonna try to get onto that too, just because I have an interest in, since I had a son that graduated from McCurdy, I wanna see what they're doing, but that might be something that you might wanna join. I don't know if you had the link. Have you
Yeah, somebody sent me the link already, yeah.
Yes, Tuesday. So anyway, that's something that, so these are things that, you know, we can, as a lead or as a chairman of the committee, subcommittee, you can, you know, have the autonomy to get things moving forward, because we can't do it together. We can't do it collectively, because we'll never do it. It's too much trying to coordinate.
Yeah.
So, okay, well, I think that took care of item C.
I think Mr. Saban's got a lot of expertise in you mentioned the light project.
He can,
That program?
yeah, oh, the light, yeah. Oh, but he can, is that part of quality of life, or is that
Would
something?
that fit into your committee?
No, it's.
The light program, you said?
Yeah.
The light program is a development type that is sanctioned by the IRS and helps to develop land. The biggest, the better for the investor. The investor comes and develop that land, 200 homes or 200 apartments or 300, and the purpose of that is to make those apartments or homes low income availability for people. It has to be low income for 15 years for the investor to get all of the tax credits.
Oh,
So that falls into your committee.
yeah, that falls into your.
Because it's housing, quality of life.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah, good
perfect.
point.
So, yeah.
Yeah, good
That's
point.
And then I did mention then in here in the page 22, I believe it says it's in reference to the housing studies,
Oh, yeah, on the.
page 22.
Okay.
In the housing area, the city should be able to qualify for 15,000 grants from the New Mexico Mortgage Finance Authority to conduct a need assessment.
If that's still the amount, but this is like 5 years
Yeah,
old.
that's a really easy, just a simple application. They give the monies to the city, and then the city hires this company to do the need assessment of the housing.
That's the expertise.
So it's really, some paperwork and then it's done.
And it's for the developer, it really helps the developer, in a sense, right? It creates the
yeah.
housing market, but the developer gets these tax breaks and.
The investor,
Investor.
because the investor is companies who are really multi-billion-dollar companies. They don't want to pay taxes.
Mhm.
So they have a special code in the IRS that allows them to invest, but for low-income housing projects. And they get all of the credits for that project for 15 years. Let's say that they invest $10 million, they're gonna double that thing, and tax breaks from the government. Nothing from the owner, nothing from the community. It's just from the IRS, they get the exemption of the taxes. So just that, it might work, it might not work, you know, I know people in that area because I have tried to do that with the Pueblo. And that's probably I have come close to it.
Mhm.
And if once I see the preliminary tax and if I see that it's suitable, I'll invite those ones to come and present to the entire committee.
Yes,
So the committee needs to be aware what's
Yes.
about, and so everybody's informed, and whoever is like this gentleman they talk about, he has big lots of land
Uh-huh.
he wants to develop, so the committee can address properly
Yes.
for that point.
thank you,
Okay.
Commissioner. You make a very good point in that even though we have subcommittees, you want the subcommittee chairs to bring that information back in, as you make progress. And as we can, have it on the agenda.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
members of the commission, Commissioner Sambana, what I can do is I can have Robert create a map of large parcels in the city that a developer could look at to develop for housing. And I think Robert's already done that for the retail coach. And so it kind of, you look at a map and you can say, okay, well, we have 6 acres here, we have 21 acres over here, we have 10 here, and then they can kind of see what's going on in the city with acreage that's available for development. Now,
I mentioned to the mayor in reference to, we need to go after this grant from MFA.
okay,
To do the housing assessment for the entire valley.
okay.
So my question is, do I contact you or who is the person, because the city has to sign for it?
Yes, you and I can work very closely. I'll reach out to you on Friday and we can communicate and talk about it. Just so you know, I'm working very closely with Ms. Monica Abeta from the North Central Economic Development, the COG for this region. She has 9 grant writers that have been funded by the legislature, and they're there for us. So you just come to me with ideas or a grant application or whatever. We forward it to Monica, and these folks are professional grant writers.
And then he's gotta say it to the city.
Yeah, they'll write it up, it comes back, and the city manager signs it, or the mayor
What I'm
signs it.
saying is he presents it to the committee.
Yeah.
I don't wanna have a lot of bureaucracy, I mean, to the committee and then to the city council. But there's also, my understanding is that Councilor Benavides is part of that, is kind of overseeing housing too.
Yes.
So she might be the other, she's in this council,
Yeah.
or this commission, so that's gonna be a key person for you, Commissioner, to connect with with Councilor Benavides, Denise.
Good. I mean, and I don't know if you remember, I talked at the beginning of this commission, Espanola public housing was given to the Santa Fe Civic
Oh, yeah, we
Yes.
know.
long time ago. It's going to be about 10 years, something like that.
A little over, I think it was under.
And I think it's time for the city to get back into that
Yes,
and to develop more low-income homes.
or affordable housing is what I call it.
Yeah, basically.
I agree with you.
And I know that Mayor V. Hill had mentioned that as one of his priorities when he was in his platform, so we have to remind him, because I know he's very interested, and I think even, I've talked to Councilor Benavides about this too, and that was something she was wanting to work on, so I would feel free, Commissioner, to call her and let her know and ask, move it forward if it hasn't moved forward yet.
Yeah.
So that's what we're here, to move things forward.
There is a meeting scheduled for September the 29th at 2:00. It will be held by Zoom, and I will send that link to you right now. This is the Espanola Valley Housing Planning Task Force. And so that's scheduled for September the 29th at 2 p.m. I just sent, it just went away. It's in your inbox right now, okay?
Great.
Good.
That's September the 29th for the Housing Task Force.
And can he be a member?
Absolutely, you can join the meeting at 2:00, absolutely.
Okay, great.
So it's kind of open, but it's important for him to be.
Yeah, I would really, I'll do anything I can so that you're a part of the task force,
All right.
okay?
That's his interest, okay,
Yeah.
thank you. Thank you, commissioners,
Thank
I think we have a good start, and I think we can work together well, and
Absolutely.
get some things for the community, working with the governing body. So having said that, let's go to our last item, as we already have public comment. So we're gonna go to item D, which I know this is something that
I just wanted to excuse myself because
I recognize you, Mr. Cruz Lopez. Thank you.
Yeah, I have a mention, I don't wanna be part of anything about that, you guys do.
Oh,
what
okay,
you guys
yes,
have to do,
okay.
you know me? But I just wanted to meet you guys and hopefully you guys will remember me. And remember my idea that I had about the art gallery downtown and as far as like you guys were talking about quality of life. I mean, I think that would in a way help a lot of the artists, especially master artists that live in this area. Would be greatly helped, like especially if we could do like workshops with people, teach them how to do some of the art that we do here, like wood carving, painting, things like that. And we could do with the kids, or we could do with people that maybe are addicted or something like that. We could use the art to create healing.
And to heal, yeah.
And not only that would help the people of Espanola, but it would bring people from outside in and see what we can offer.
Thank you so much.
I just wanted to
Thank you.
And we appreciate your comments and your what you've added to this meeting. Thank you so much.
And I'll reach out to you tomorrow, okay?
Thank you.
Thank you, Bruce.
Okay, so let's go on with item with D, which is
Yes.
I'll be good to you and tell us about it.
Good, well, I'm really excited about this. This is awesome. I would like, first and foremost, to shout out to Santa Clara Pueblo. I've been working very closely with the Realty Director, Mr. Jesse Gutierrez, and I reached out to him and asked if we could, the city could get a sign license for the sign on the east side of the Oñate Bridge as you enter into the west side. And so he carried the water to council at Santa Clara Pueblo. They said okay, so we have a signed agreement. They've been paid for the very first year. And one of the things that I thought that was very, very important was to allow these artists, these local artists, to be a part of the sign so that we could showcase their work. So a call went out and it was published in the Rio Grande Sun. It was published on social media. I sent it out to the Espanola Valley Arts Festival. They sent it out to all of their artists on their distribution list. So with that, these are the submittals. And so your task tonight as a commission is to look at these submittals, and there is going to be, you need to select 3 of these all beautiful, interesting pieces of art and make a recommendation to the city council. Then I will place them, I will forward them to city manager. City manager will place them on the city council agenda, and they will make the final decision. And then that piece of art will be placed on a canvas wrap, and then it goes all the way around the sign, and it'll be up there for 1 year. And then we have a 2-year license with the Pueblo, Santa Clara Pueblo. So before that 1 year expiration date comes up, I'll do a call again, have artists be a part of it, and then for the 2nd year we'll have a different piece of art there on that. That billboard's been just a big white billboard for decades. There's been nothing on it, so this is a real great opportunity to take that sign and really do something with it. Yes, ma'am.
To have some kind of a process, do you want us to go up and give us a sheet, give us like something tab, like what's number 1, number 2, number 3, or just the top 3?
You can tell me now on the packet that was sent out for like Commissioner Vigil, and I tried to do it as anonymous as possible, so that there's no conflict of interest, that maybe one of you knows an artist or something like that. So there are no names with this art. I'm the only person that knows who the artist is. And so what we could do is like you said, I could get some little post-it pads, and then you could, come up and say, well, this is my number one, this is my number two, number three, and then working with Robert, we'll do a count, and then we'll determine, which ones
And
will.
we'll have to include Commissioner Vigil.
Yes, and Commissioner Vigil, you can, look at your exhibits, I think it's Exhibit E in your packet, Commissioner Vigil, and you can let us know which three you like. Number one being the best, number two, and then number three being, the least best that you're interested
Oh,
in.
so you want us to rank them?
Yeah, so you're gonna, so that whoever it gets the most votes,
That's number one.
yeah, that's gonna be number
Okay.
one. Now, you as a body are gonna, recommend to city council.
Do you want me to vote now or just email you my vote?
You can do that, you can email the vote, that's fine.
Why don't you text
Okay,
it to me?
they're all very nice. Wow.
Oh, can you text it to you now so we have?
Sure.
Can you text it to Lou if you don't, yeah.
You have stickies?
Yes,
Yeah,
and you can
that's
bring it right
right. Yeah, bring some stickies. Go ahead, Commissioner Vigil, and, do you have Lou's number?
Okay, yeah, I can vote right now if you
Yeah,
want.
just text her just tell her which picture, I don't. she doesn't
Okay,
have
well,
names.
I'll just give it to you. I think the elk in that context of the Rio Grande would look perfect.
Okay,
So
let me
that
go
would
to,
be my
let me go
number
to
one.
Exhibit E. That's your first choice? Hold on.
The elk, yeah, the elk,
Let
and
me
then
make sure I have the right picture.
and then
The
number
elk,
two,
this one with the autumn colors?
yes, with autumn colors.
Okay.
Yeah, the elk.
Okay, and then your
And then
second
number
choice?
number two would be the Zia symbol.
Okay, there's several, I think, let me see which one. Is
And
it this one on Exhibit E, the second one with all the colors?
The second one from the top, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
So
That
the
would
third one would be my number one, with the elk. Number two would be the Zia symbol, and then
He's voting already.
Okay.
Number three.
and those would be my top two.
Okay, do you wanna have a three or you don't care to have a three?
I can I can give you number three. Excuse me,
Okay, so Mr. Commissioner Vigil, your number one is which one?
The elk,
the elk.
Okay, so I'm gonna say number one.
and number two was the Zia symbol,
Okay, so I'm gonna
Zia
put
symbol.
it here. So then number two,
was the Zia,
okay?
Zia symbol.
And then number three would be the first one.
Okay,
Oh, this one, under Exhibit E, the first one there, all the bright, vibrant colors?
okay,
Yes, yes. Those would be my top three.
okay,
Okay, rest of us are gonna look at them, give us a minute.
okay.
And
So
vote.
this is, okay, so we're gonna do that. So I'll leave it up to you.
You want our name on that thing or just the number?
Just the.
Just a number, it's really up to you. Alright.
They are all incredibly nice.
Very nice.
Thank you, Commissioner.
I'm wondering if Cruz Lopez did all three of them, all four of them.
I don't know.
I'm teasing him. I'm teasing him.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
would it be all right with you if I reach out to, Commissioner Benavides, Commissioner Salazar Torres, and Commissioner Trio, and ask them for their votes tomorrow?
Yes, yeah, I think that would be appropriate.
Okay, okay.
So you'll add what's here today and then.
I'm gonna leave it just like that, and then when I talk to
Oh, wait,
them.
let me see what the pleasure of the group is, they're not here.
Okay, so yeah, that's up to you, whatever.
I'm asking the pleasure of the commission, what do you think, guys? I think that, They'll have the, we'll make an exception. And allow them to.
And they all have interesting stories, Madam Chair. I want you to know, there's that one image. I'm just gonna give you a little bit of background on one. There's an image of a little truck and a little girl fishing with her grandfather.
I know, I saw
I saw
that.
that.
And that is the artist's memory. She actually, that is her and her grandfather fishing at the river. When she was a little girl in that little truck, she said her grandfather drove that little truck. And so I think that is just adorable. The perspective is you would be standing on the Santa Clara Bridge looking north to the Oñate Bridge. So that's,
Oh, okay, so,
okay.
yeah.
so you're on the bridge next to La Cocina, but you're looking north so that you see the.
So we used to have a river, but haven't we?
Looks good.
I remember that river flowing on the west side, really nicely, really full and beautiful.
So Lou, you said they'll be on the billboard for 1 year?
For 1 year. It'll be on the billboard for 1 year.
The bridge, I should
That's a long time.
Yeah, it's a long time, but it's
Will it hold up that long? With the weather and all?
yes, yeah, it'll hold up that long.
What kind of material?
It's a commercial material, like the billboard in Milwaukee when you come, the
Yeah.
PMI sign.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
They know how.
they're very, very, very thick. It's a professional, it's not a tarp that you buy at Lowe's or anything, it's a professional grade, what's called a wrap, a canvas wrap,
Yeah.
okay?
Okay.
So it looks like, what's the pleasure of the members that are in attendance tonight? Do you want me to reach out to other commissioners and get
That's
their
what I was
vote?
asking.
Or do you want,
No, I think we should reach out because they're also on the city council, so
yeah,
they should vote.
you have two commissioners that are, who are counselors, so.
They'll
But
overrank us.
they're counselors
They're
anyway,
overrank.
so they're gonna have a vote over there, right?
Well, I'm not taking everything. The ones that don't make the final cut tonight, the ones that make the final cut tonight are the ones that are gonna go to the next step.
So then tonight, so then they're not here to vote.
That's right, that's.
So
Okay.
then I
So-
say just let them be part of the city council.
So which ones ended up as number one?
Yeah.
Okay, so number one.
I have a number one down here too.
Okay, so number one is the one with the young lady fishing with her grandfather in the fall. That's number one, okay? That's the one that got the most votes. There's a tie for number two. So you have the Zia sign. You have the one that has all of the icons of the valley and it says home in the center. That one. And then the one with the elk. So you have three of them. So those three are in second and tied for second place. And then you have three that are in tied for third place. So you have the heart of the valley, the yellow and the black one where cultures unite. You have the one with the native symbols, and it's very colorful. And then you have the one that says Espanola Valley, New Mexico, art, culture, tradition, lowrider capital of the world, west side.
Oh, okay.
So this one here, so we have 3 for second place and 3 for third place.
And the first place is?
The first place, just automatically out of the gate, is the one with the little girl and the grandmother.
The city council, if I may, sorry
Yeah,
to.
so the city council
We'll
will
still make the final decision.
they'll make the final decision,
Okay.
okay?
Okay, so do you want her to call tomorrow? What's the pleasure of the group? To get these other votes or just present what we've done? I think present what we've done.
Just present what presented.
Yeah.
Okay, no problem, I will.
Commissioner Vindel, you okay with that? We're just gonna,
I'm okay with that. Thank you.
okay, thank you.
I got my marching orders, thank you very much, okay?
So having said that, it concludes our meeting. We had discussion on the next meeting, which is October 12th. I'm hoping that maybe as you have your subcommittee or your leads.
Can we clarify just one more thing on the
Yes.
committees? Did you say that we could include people from the community to be on?
Well, I'm suggesting we can, but this is where Lou has, that's why I thought we were gonna have this
Oh,
rules for subcommittee
Oh,
tonight,
oh.
so we would have our guidance, so I
okay,
don't wanna speak,
yeah.
you know, something that's not true. So, Lou, let me ask you this, how
Yes.
soon could we get the rules for subcommittee?
Well, one of the things that I was gonna ask
Can
you
we do that
to
before we
consider,
start moving, because we wanna move this month,
one
before
of
the
the
next meeting, at least something.
The thing that I would, Madam Chair, is, and honorable members of the commission, the Planning and Zoning Commission meets twice a month. They meet on, the first meeting is action meeting, that's when they have an agenda with action items. The second time they meet is a workshop setting, they take no action, but they discuss stuff. The last commission meeting, they worked on their minor subdivision act. So one of the things that you may want to consider is having a second meeting so that we can take care of a lot of this other stuff that is not gonna require action. And have discussion, and it's open, and it's free flowing, and then you can give me my marching orders, go do this, Lou, and then come back and let's move forward, okay? I'm of the opinion once a month is not enough, because you guys have a lot
With all the
to
stuff
do.
we've listed, we need to try to move things.
Well, look tonight with,
I told her I want it from 6 to 8, and she said, no, don't put an end time. I said, because people, after 2 hours, you're kind of like,
Yeah,
you know.
oh yeah, after 2 hours.
So, well, what's the pleasure of the group? I mean, I think that, I also wanted to ask, does the time work? Is 6 o'clock good, or is it easier for your staff to do it right at 4, or, I don't know, I mean, I see all these overtime, these guys doing overtime, and I feel bad, it's like they're at every meeting in the evening. But what is some of the thoughts about the time? If everybody's okay with 6, I'm okay with 6. But
6 works for
The
me.
Planning and Zoning Commission meets, for example, they meet on the second Thursday and the fourth Thursday of each month.
and we're meeting the,
And you meet the second Wednesday of every month. So you may want to consider meeting the second Wednesday and the last Wednesday of every month. So that would be like the fourth Wednesday of every, the second Wednesday and the fourth Wednesday.
okay.
And that way, we don't have to spend long hours. The meetings can be a little shorter, and we can get a lot more done.
Well, that's what I like. I prefer more being done and having long meetings. Okay, so if you do that, let's see if we go with you said the second and the fourth?
Yes.
So we still go with the 12th and the 26th.
So your next meeting, if you wanted to do that, would be on the 28th of September. That would be your, a workshop. That's just a workshop.
Yeah, we need a workshop.
That's your
So I
workshop.
was writing down some notes today, I thought, and I did mention to the mayor earlier on another conversation, I said we need to have some kind of work sessions with the groups that he's bringing in too, because we want to be on the same page and we don't want to start doing something different, and then he's got this total other vision with the city council and we're out of left field. I mean, that's wasting our time and it's not going to be effective. So I think I like the idea of a workshop. Maybe we can decide like how, who, and when, and who's going to be in the workshop. But is that Commissioner Vigil, you're still with us? Everyone, do you want to meet again now this month on the 28th in 2 weeks?
I'm okay with that.
And that would be a workshop.
That's a workshop.
So we're going to have more ability to, what would you present then? Would you present the rules for the subcommittee?
So then the first thing I would do is I would make sure that we would have the deputy clerk here, and we would go over the Open Meetings Act, talk about disclosure and conflict of interest and the rules for subcommittees. And that would take care of that. And then what we could do is, by that time, that's on the 28th. The next day, the 29th, is this housing task force that I was just talking about. What I could do before then is get them as much information, maybe get a copy of their agenda, because I didn't receive that. And then work with Commissioners Simbiana so that he's fully engaged with that task force as a member representing this commission.
Yes.
And which by default, he would be representing the city of Espanola. Okay.
So people, do you want to continue at 6 o'clock on Wednesdays and then just try this September?
What's the earliest that people can meet besides 6?
That's what I was
I
asking.
mean, to me, it doesn't matter, but people that are
The 28th?
Yes.
Yeah, even
That'll be
if,
fine.
just on meetings, that's,
but 6 o'clock, do you think
Is
is that a
6
good
okay, or
time, or
would
do you
you-
think we should do a different
which
time?
would be.
What time?
Do you want to continue meeting at 6, or do you think we should choose a different time, earlier time, or?
Can you meet earlier?
6 is okay.
Okay.
Well, we'll have to start bringing snacks, so we're gonna have to, we'll be like the legislature, you'll be there, you know, in the committee, and you'd all be eating, it's 12 o'clock, you're starting, but you can't leave.
Yeah.
And they're eating away, so, okay, well, if everybody's okay with 6 o'clock, how about you, Commissioner Vigil? Because I know you work, so that's probably better for you, now, 6 o'clock?
6 o'clock is my preference. I
Sure.
work
Okay, we'll stay with 6.
Okay.
Okay, so we're gonna meet then on the, next meeting's gonna be September 28th. Do we need to have a motion, or we just can decide?
No, because it's just gonna be a workshop,
Okay,
okay? And then from now on, we'll have 2 meetings a month. The
okay,
first meeting will take care of action items, and whatever comes out of the workshops will go on the agenda for action for the next one.
yeah,
And then we'll just
other stuff,
keep leapfrogging, okay?
okay. Sept,
Yeah,
so,
sounds good.
okay,
And that way we can get more done.
yes,
Okay.
yes.
You know, I'm sure to have phone numbers or contact information or the rest of our.
I don't have that this time.
Oh, I sent all of that to you when
I
we
sent
first
it in
started.
July, and I probably.
Yeah, when we first started with this, let me send that to you right now. Yeah, that was, I sent out an email and I introduced everyone. I said, this is Mr. Floyd Archuleta with Help New Mexico or the Workforce Development Board, and then I had your contact number. And I went down the list, cause
Well,
I
just
went,
forward that way we can keep our.
Just something simple to make sure we have
okay,
an email and a contact or a phone number.
Do you put it in a spreadsheet?
I'm gonna send this to you right now.
Okay, thank you. All right, well, it's 8:24, and I think we need to adjourn. So we have agreed that next meeting is going to be September 28th work session, and then I guess that means our next formal meeting for action would be October 12th.
That's correct,
Okay.
yes.
So having said that, do I have a motion to adjourn?
So,
Moved by Commissioner Archuleta to adjourn, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Commissioner Simbana, all in favor, let's do acclamation, all in favor, A? Yay?
Aye.
Aye, aye,
Aye.
aye. Meeting adjourned.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you everyone for your hard work. Thank you, Commissioner, for hanging in there with us, Commissioner Vidal.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Simbana. I look forward to working with you, okay?
Thank you.
Yeah, take
We'll get a lot
care.
done.
I hope you're happy with the outcome.
Yeah, I gotta go to my workstation again.
Recording stopped.
I'll send that to you right now.
And then we have to have minutes.
Yeah,
So
I
we
gotta,
need to talk about that.
I'm gonna look for someone else who can do minutes.
Cause we need to, then we have, yeah, if we could do it next, yeah, well, it's not the work session, but we can do the next October meeting, have the,
Yeah, when you and I work on the agenda, cause
Yes.
that's not on here anyhow.
no, we didn't have it this time.
So what we'll,
Cause you said you didn't have anybody, so I said, never mind.
so we'll make sure it's on the